Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. Why did I sound super enthusiastic? I feel like a lot of times when I'm doing these intros and stuff, I don't sound as enthusiastic as I kind of am, but I sounded super enthusiastic then. I thought that was kind of weird. Anyway, for today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series premiere of Timeless. In case you didn't hear me, Timeless. Sorry, I don't know if that got picked up by my phone or not while I'm recording. So had to say it again. Anyway, very good episode. I've been interested in this series since I saw like a YouTube trailer for it like a while back. I love how that's kind of a lot of my introduction to like some shows. I'm like, oh, that's a thing, you know. So like I said, there's been plenty of examples of that. Like Heroes Reborn was like that. The Blacklist was like that. I think Blind Spot was like that too. Like there's quite a few shows that's like, oh yeah, I found out about them because of YouTube ads and whatnot. But nevertheless, that's besides the point. Well, actually, it's kind of with the point because I kind of already had some idea what was going to go down in this first episode because that's usually how those ads usually work. Kind of trailers for these TV shows. It's kind of like, and they use a lot of stuff from the first episodes. But we got introduced to our main three protagonists. We got Lucy, Rufus, and Wyatt. So we have Lucy being kind of like the more knowledgeable one because she's actually a professor, so she knows history and stuff like that. Rufus is a coder. He kind of works at this whole project thing. And then Wyatt is special forces, so he's kind of like the muscle of the group. Interestingly enough, we had them going back to 1937 to track down this guy, Flynn, who I was very surprised to find out about his history being the fact is like, oh, apparently he killed his wife and child, and he's been gone for like the past year. And the moment he read, like the moment he had that journal, I was like, okay, that journal's special. I was like, okay, so it's someone from someone gave him that journal and he's been following. It's basically a guideline of what's going to happen. I kind of figured as much. It was kind of interesting to find out the person who wrote it, though, was Lucy. So it's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? Because initially it seems like they're terrorists, so they're going off to kind of cause as much mayhem as possible. It's like, oh, maybe they're going to make the Hindenburg go down and kill more people than it, because there's like 90 people up there or something like that, but only 30 some people die. I mean, granted, it's sad to even have to say only 30 people, but nonetheless, it ended up being like, oh, we're not actually bringing it down. We actually made sure that it landed safely so that, you know, some very influential people would get back up there and then they die in the explosion from the bomb we planted up there. And that's kind of a big thing in this show we're kind of getting off right off the bat. It's kind of like you have Wyatt being like, wait, you know that that journalist Kate is going to die, but you're just kind of having a conversation where we're kind of a situation of like, yeah, she dies. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. We can't save her because saving her means drastically changing the future. We don't know what kind of time we'd end up going back to. And that's kind of the thing with time travel. Like, you have to get out there immediately. Like, you're going to feel the need to save someone, but you don't know what the ramifications will be for that. You saving this one person could mean someone else, and that same person you save could end up killing someone else that was supposed to live much later on. You don't know the ramifications of it. I mean, sadly, it all played itself out because Kate ended up dying. I need to learn that actress's name, because the entire time I was staring, I was like, Patty Spivot from The Flash. Like, she will always be like that, even though The Flash was like the second thing I saw her from. Like, originally she was on The Messengers, like before she was on The Flash, which I don't even remember her character's name on The Messengers, but nonetheless, like, I see her and stuff popping up, you know, and some stuff here and there, like one episode type of thing, so I get excited every time I see her, and so I'm like, I just constantly refer to her as like, Patty, that's so awesome to see. Nonetheless, just kind of a situation, even like Kate kind of explains it to him later on, that she always was meant to die as kind of a situation. And he's like, oh, so what are you saying, like fate? And that is kind of the question. And like, even if she didn't die then, would time have kind of found a way? Because, you know, we're not 100% sure on how time 100% works in the show. Because, you know, everything's got, you know, its own, every different thing has their own thoughts and like, oh, this is how time travel works here, but it works differently here. It might be similar to that, like only slightly different. So we don't know. Maybe it's a situation where like, even if that person survives for a little while, time will find a way of correcting it. So you could be like, hey, she was always meant to die, but what you end up finding out is, you know, time found a way to kill her off anyway. I mean, granted, no one actually died from the Hindenburg explosion. Like, I mean, anyone that originally died during the original timeline, which was very interesting to see them go back to the original timeline. It's like, whoa, things were like drastically different because it's like it's that situation of like the moment the timeline has changed, like no one remembers the alternate timeline except for them. It's like, yo, this is like for us, the Hindenburg went down. It didn't get blown up in an explosion. There wasn't a terrorist group called, what was it, Black Crow. It's like, yeah, that was actually us. So it's kind of interesting to see that. It does make you wonder how that works. I mean, like time travel is one of those fickle subjects, even though it's kind of like there is science behind it, but it is a heavily science fictional thing. So some people's rules of time travel don't kind of break upon themselves. It's such a heavy thing that it's like, if you think about it too much, you're just going to hurt yourself, because it's like that contradicts certain things. I mean, but it's kind of interesting, the fact is that they get to keep their memories of the original timeline, but I guess it's at the time that time was shifting. They were kind of out of phase with time because they were moving along it. I do like how they describe time travel in this. I'm sure there's probably been other things that kind of describe it like this, but this is kind of one that kind of first came to my mind about it. Like, maybe there is another one that I am familiar with, but if I don't know. Basically, the concept of like, basically the machine, in this case, they call it the lifeboat, warps time around it, and it kind of creates like a loop in time, allowing you to kind of travel around that loop. I thought that was kind of interesting. And also, we kind of got introduced to, I refer to it as paradoxes, but maybe that's not the right term to describe it. It's basically ending up in a place where you already exist. Because going ahead and let you know, because you had Rufus kind of explain it early on. Yeah, you can't go back in time. Like, we could have, like, it's like, oh, why can't we just go back 5 minutes in time and stop them from even stealing the thing from begin with? It's like, well, because you can't go back to a timeline where you already exist, because things could be catastrophic. They say they did that with one guy on part of him came back. So I was like, what does that necessarily mean? I don't know. Like I said, I refer to that as a paradox. You never want to run into yourself in a different point in time. Causes a lot of problems. Like I said, depending how it affects you depends entirely on whatever it is you're watching, reading, or listening to, whatever the case may be. So that's why I'm like, I don't know 100%. That's always been my understanding of what a paradox is, but maybe, that's not 100% the definition of it. Like I said, not going to get too technical about it, even though I've been getting super technical about it. So it's just, time travel is a very interesting, like, story mechanic. It's like one of my favorite things about science fiction, just like, especially like one of my particular favorites. It's interesting. I refer to it like, I'll say like, the Groundhog Day of basically you being trapped in the same day. It's a storyline that I see pop up in different things, not just things associated with science fictional stuff. Typically, it can be things of supernatural persuasion as well, because there was actually the show Supernatural actually had one where like Dean kept dying over and over again, and Sam just kept repeating the day over and over again. But it's like I really like those type of episodes. Another one's like 12 Monkeys last season. I mean, well, the most recent season being season 2, had an episode like that, and Eureka had one. Was that like season 1 or season 2, something like that? Jack got caught in like a Groundhog Day situation, which I was kind of alluding to earlier. It's kind of funny I say that. I don't think I've ever watched that movie all the way through. I've seen pieces here and there, but I don't think I've ever seen that full movie, so I find it funny that I'm referencing. But that's kind of how everyone kind of goes about when they reference like, oh, I'm trapped in the same day. It's like, oh, like the Groundhog Day thing. It's like, yeah, so. But I did really like in this episode, we had Rufus kind of talking to that copies, but like, oh yeah, don't call me boy. I am a man. I'm not your son, so don't call me boy. The fact of the matter is, I hope you stay around so that you can see things go down. Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, anyone that basically is called Mike. The fact is, in 2008, I have a president, Barack Obama, and it's just kind of like, time is not on your side, and he's getting all anti about it. And the guy's walking, he's like, okay, where's that guy going? And he's coming back. It's like, oh crap. So I love that. Like, it is kind of that thing immediately, kind of like, because even before he left, he was like, I don't know how it works across the pond, but I am black. And there are a lot of places in America, American history that I shouldn't be at. So, just constant points are just kind of like, at least they're very real about it. They're not sugarcoating it. It's like, yeah. It's something I was going to do. It's something I've always been putting in reserve. It's kind of like, that's to me a video I was going to make about the downside of like time travel as a superpower is that like if you are a minority, it kind of screws you over. It's like Yeah, that's true. And, like, there's not many places in time that kind of works out for you, sadly to say. So, I mean, but you gotta appreciate the realism. I find that funny. I am actually watching quite a few time travel shows because I'm watching. I mean, obviously, I finished up watching 12 Monkeys, but at the same time, I was also watching Legends of Tomorrow. Now, this is like the third time travel show I'm going to end up watching this year. I just find that fascinating. I do apologize. I've been like severely getting off book talking about all the just random crap that I'm sure no one cares about. I don't know, just I get caught up in this whole long forum thing, and I end up talking about stuff that doesn't matter. But the point of the matter is, we end up finding out a little bit about everyone's different circumstances. A little bit. We don't 100% know what he's there for, but Rufus is like, "Why am I here?" But the guy who started the whole project, Mason, is like, "You know why you're going," and so. It seemed like at the end that he caught some kind of recording between Wyatt and Lucy. For what purpose, I don't know. So it's going to be a situation of like he's doing some shady stuff behind her back without letting them know. He doesn't feel comfortable about it. But Mason's like, "Do you think I feel comfortable about this?" So it's like, what that's the purpose for? I don't know. Just like there's that whole operation that Flynn told Lucy about. What's it called? Riding House. Yeah, Riding House. And basically, the Homeland Security lady was like, "I don't know what that is." Lucy didn't acknowledge the fact is that journal that he's watching, like I said, brought up earlier, is like a journal that she wrote. So basically, kind of putting it in perspective, saying that Lucy is the one that sent him on his mission, but for what purpose? Like, basically, her theory is that Flynn is trying to destroy America from what it is now and kind of go back and hit key points that kind of help form. They were crucial points in time that led to reform that would lead to America being what it is today, kind of like the ultimate form of terrorism, kind of. But whether that's 100% true or not, you don't really know. It seems like it's just a situation like it's the first episode, so obviously you have very little pieces to the puzzle. So, and we also had the whole thing about Wyatt this episode. We ended up finding out the reason why he was so adamant about saving Kate is because she reminded him of his wife Jessica, who died, and we don't know the circumstances, but it does seem like he blames himself. He says it's his fault. So. And then we had Lucy coming back home to find out because her mom was sick before, but the person looking after her was her sister Amy. But now she's back. She's like, "Oh, Mom, you're great. You're in good condition." Side note, need to learn the actress's name. The actress playing her mom. I didn't realize that at the time because I guess because her hair was covered up, and I didn't really get a good look at her face. But her mom is played by the actress who played Mama Queen on Arrow. So I thought that's kind of interesting. I don't even remember her character's name on NCIS. She's kind of a military lady that kind of had a bit of a thing with Gibbs too. I know. I'm apologizing. I'm just kind of all over the place, but it's just like once that's in my head, I kind of feel like I have to say it. Just I should shut up more often and be a little direct, but I like to have a little fun with this. I feel like a lot of times when it comes to these things, I don't kind of go off book as often as I probably should. Just to have a little more fun with it, just kind of pulling from different things because. I should be, somebody might come to this and be like, "No, I came here specifically for the episode. I don't give a crap what you got to say about it." No, keep it strictly tied to the episodes. If that's the case, I do apologize. That's how I am. I am a very random person. I kind of say what kind of goes to my head, especially when, certain things kind of tie in with, what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, sadly, getting back to it, the point is we find out that her sister doesn't exist in this timeline. So it's just kind of like yes, you do have to be careful in what you do because you don't know. Something that seems very unrelated to you ends up shifting everything because it's like, how did stopping the Hindenburg from crashing lead to her not having a sister and her mom not being sick? It's like, where's the correlation to that? I mean, it is a period of what, 80 plus years. There's a lot of stuff that goes down between 37 and 2016, so it's kind of like there's a lot of events to play out different ways, and I guess certain events playing out different ways means certain people, certain decisions are met, and it's kind of like, maybe she was, because of circumstances, she's just like, well, I decided things played out this way, and I decided to only have one daughter instead of having two. So that's just kind of interesting why they would, I don't know, like, it's just kind of like, oh, here's her sister, and then it's like, oh, now this sister we introduced to you, she doesn't exist anymore. It's just kind of interesting to me. it does make you wonder, like, I mean, because there is no do-over, as we kind of brought up in this episode. Once they've kind of affected things, like whether the time change was positive or negative, they're stuck with it because there's no more going back to it. It does make you wonder, like, would they be able to resolve everything? Would there be a point in time, it's like, once we stop Flynn here, it kind of unravels everything that we've done so far in the show? Type of situation, kind of like a big reset, or are they just kind of stuck with things as they are? Because I'm sure Lucy doesn't appreciate things being stuck the way they are. Yes, she has her mom, but she doesn't have her sister in this timeline. Like I said, it's kind of one of those situations of, like, fate kind of takes what it's owed in some shape or form. It's like, yes, your mom is in good health, but it means you not having a sister type of situation. Like I said, Kate didn't die in the from the Hindenburg crashing, yes, and she lived only to be killed later on, that very day or night or whatever, just to kind of compensate for it. Like, time will take what it's owed type of situation. What did I get that from? Isn't that from 12 Monkeys? I'm pretty sure that's where I'm getting that from. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the concept across a lot of time travel, is that time is kind of a sentient thing that will take what it's owed, type of thing. So I don't know. That's kind of how I'm piecing it. Very interesting. I'm very interested to see what other things they get into. It's just kind of it's very interesting because it is just kind of like, yo, we're straight into it. Yep, time travel's a thing. I've been working on it. It's like, why are you working on something that can be so deadly? But that is a question, though. Like, how dangerous time travel is. It's like, oh, I didn't think the possibility of someone trying to take it. It's like, I guess, he kept it hush hush because even Homeland Security didn't know he was working on it until he called him about a terrorist taking it from him, like a wanted fugitive taking it from him. So, but it does, like I said, because of the whole hush-hush situation between Mason and Rufus, it does seem like he said he didn't know that was going to play out like this, but maybe he did. Like, maybe it's also tied in to why Flynn has a book that's written by Lucy with all these different events, laid out before him. Like, it's a well-constructed plan is hers, and for what purpose, I don't know. Maybe certain things. Maybe there's something that's supposed to happen, and Lucy feels like the only way it's going to happen is, because she sends Flynn to do the job. She gets sent to take care of Flynn, which leads to her writing the book, which she gives to Flynn, and, the whole cycle of things. Maybe it's a part in the grand cycle of things. I just don't know. Maybe it's a thing that has to happen so that something else can happen. I don't know. Like I said, don't have that much information, just the first episode, but really like it, and I'm really interested to see where it goes from here. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.